This is Artful Discourse, your weekly escape into the vibrant world of creativity, culture, and intellectual exploration. I'm your host, Benjamin Kirk, and I invite you to join me on a journey through the rich tapestry of human thought and the beating heart of artistic expression at Fresno State's College of Arts and Humanities. Hello and welcome. We are back for the fall 2025 semester, and to kick off the season, we have Professor of Composition, Dr. Benjamin Boone, joining us after spending a year as a United States Fulbright Scholar in Limerick, Ireland. While in Ireland, he recorded his latest album, Confluence, the Ireland Sessions. So, Dr. Boone, welcome. How are you and where are you?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to kick off the fall 2024 season of your show. I'm coming to you via Zoom, if the sound's a little funny, from Limerick, Ireland, where it's about 50 degrees cooler than it is there in Fresno. So I'm bundled up in multiple layers in a thick wool sweater.
And I'm actually looking at you. You are bundled up. I saw you grab the blanket for your legs. Quite a change from Fresno.
The body hasn't adjusted quite yet, but it will, and I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted to speak with you about this.
Now, we're recording this show about a week before it airs, so by the time our listeners hear this, Confluence, the Ireland Sessions from Origin Records, will be available wherever you buy or stream your music. So, like your previous album, Joy, with the Ghana Jazz Collective, which, by the way, is our theme. One of those songs is our theme song on our show here. So I appreciate you letting us use your music. But that album was born out of your time as a U.S. Fulbright Scholar. So can you walk me through how this album came to be?
Sure. I've been really fortunate with the Fulbright Scholar Program, and any students or faculty listening should really investigate that program. But I was, during academic year 17-18, I was a Fulbright Scholar to the University of Ghana. And I was really fortunate that in the academic year 2022-23, I was a Fulbright Scholar to the University of Limerick and their Irish World Academy of Music and Dance. And the short story is, while I was here, I did lots of teaching. I ended up recording 3 albums with various configurations of musicians. And you'll be the first to hear, fingers crossed, that one of the other ones, not the jazz one, but one that I did with a Mexican singer professor and an Irish guitarist and a German violinist, is supposedly, fingers crossed, going to be out on One World Records in March, is what she said. And that they're located in Copenhagen.
Oh, wow.
And they have great distribution and everything. So fingers crossed on that. But this one came about because there are a contingent of really good jazz musicians here in Ireland and in Limerick. So not just in Dublin, which is what people think about, but in Limerick, Ireland. And I wanted to highlight the wonderful musicians that are in this particular area. And so I had the opportunity to rehearse over about a month and a half and workshop and create music that was created here in Ireland, mostly written in a room there at the Irish World Academy of Music that overlooks the Shannon River. And these are, when we can go into greater detail, but from, some ancient melodies that are Irish traditional tunes, but done in a unique way, to music that is about, like, the crazy sport of hurling or the Shannon River or something like that. So all of it was composed in Ireland and recorded here in Ireland, sort of to document what it felt like for me to be here.
Now, in Ghana, I was a little surprised you came back and had an album. Was that album planned? And this time when you went, did you plan to make an album this time around as well?
Well, when I went to Ghana, I had a very, very heavy teaching load there at the university. And part of what I did was collaborate with traditional musicians. They have a music there called High Life music. I played a lot with High Life musicians, and I actually recorded several things. One, if your listeners listen to or Google New Global Ensemble, I actually started that ensemble in Ghana, and that music was used on some soundtracks. And since then, we've done some performances in Europe, and that is an iteration of what I recorded in Ireland, actually. which we can get into later. But the project, I didn't know who I was going to meet, what music I would create, what the opportunities would be. So I knew create, I wanted to collaborate with musicians in Ghana and then record it and document it in some way. And it just turned out that there's this amazing group in Ghana called the Ghana Jazz Collective. And I really hit it off with them. They invited me to come do performances with them, which I was very grateful for. And then I started writing music with them in collaboration with them. So it wasn't just me writing music saying, do this. They really contributed significantly to the music that's on that album. And it did really, really well. And so I really mirrored and mimicked that project when I came to Ireland. I didn't really know who I was going to meet, what opportunities I would have. And I was just very fortunate to meet the drummer that's on the album, John Daly, who just seems to know everyone in all of Ireland. He's a musician, and he put me in touch with this fabulous cast of people that then were very eager to collaborate, and I just got to spend a lot of time with them and in the spring, and we ended up coming up with the music for this album. The only I was somewhat familiar with the musicians because in the fall of 2022 I did attend the Limerick Jazz Festival, and there was a singer that performed, and I said to myself, oh my gosh, I want to record with her. And I actually went up to her and said, I'm here for the rest of the academic year. I want to do something with you. And I did hear a lot of the other musicians at the jazz festival also, but I didn't get to speak with them. And then my wife was hit by a car,
Oh,
and so that really derailed the work because I was caring for her, and that took until like February until she was able to walk again and be more self sufficient. So that sort of delayed it. So once she was able to do that, I just went full force and collaborated with tons of people and recorded like 3 CDs worth of material.
well, a couple things. First of all, I'm very glad your wife's okay. Sounds like she's doing
Yeah, that
better
was
now.
really horrible.
Oh my goodness.
That's the danger. By the way, alert to if you go to England or you go to Limerick, they drive on the left, which means you look to the right. And
Yes.
our habit is to look to the left, right? Because we're expecting cars to come that way. So it's a danger, and that is not atypical. That's what happened to my wife happens all too frequently, unfortunately.
Mm. So the other thing you mentioned, the vocalist Jane Fraser, and you had sent me a package with
Uh-huh.
a
Yeah.
couple videos and the songs from the album, and Jane Fraser is wow, just amazing. And so
I think so too. I'm glad that you think that. I'm really glad
uh,
that you enjoy those tunes.
yeah, and so I wanted to see if we could pause and maybe play one of those tracks if
Of
you're okay with
course,
that.
please.
And I have the two videos that you gave me. I have them pulled up. And so I'd like you to choose and then intro it. One is In the Twilight and the other one is Your Eyes. Which would you prefer to listen to?
Wow. We're going to get one of them. I think the listeners would like the In the Twilight better because it's less of a jazz tune and kind of goes into more of the genre that Jane is into because she's a jazz singer, but she also is into like a lot of popular music styles too, like and even R&B. And this sort of treads into the territory or gets into the territory of uh, more R&B. And this is a tune that we collaborated on like from the beginning. So I had a chord progression, a vague idea of what I wanted the song to be about, uh, some ideas about the groove of the song, and a little bit about the what I wanted the melody to be. But then she would come to me with some melodic fragments and lyric ideas, and I would be like, yeah, yeah, I like that, or let's all. So it really was a collaborative process, and I give her credit for music and lyrics. So I co-wrote the music, but with her, but she wrote the lyrics all herself, and so I'm just really happy with the way that that collaboration went, and I'm happy with the way there's a big climax at the end of this tune. It really came together. And I'll tell your listeners a secret, Ben.
Yeah.
When I recorded this, I had cracked a tooth in the middle of the recording session. And over the lunch break, went to an oral surgeon. Yes, you can do that in Ireland. You can actually see an oral surgeon at a lunch break, which you can't do here. And they said, yeah, they could investigate, but if they did, they might have to pull the tooth. And so just what she said is, if you can, try not to touch your teeth together. And I'll give you some stuff for the pain, but if it gets infected, we're going to have to do emergency surgery. But I think you can wait until you're done with the recording, next 2 days of recording. So this was recorded with a broken tooth, which I think made me play a hell of a lot better.
All right. That's good. All right. So without further ado, let's roll this. This is In the Twilight, and this is featuring vocalist Jane Fraser.
Nighttime falls like an avalanche, draped in half dreams of you. Threads of meaning caress the air, thoughts the dawn will consume, lost somewhere along the path of a melody that's past, but the hook got right under my skin. Forced collections of our time, streaming seasons in my mind, buzz like static on an old TV. Echoes of a lonely lullaby, and you, and you, and you, and always you. In
It's just incredible, incredible. Your sax with her voice is just a such a fantastic combination.
Well, I really appreciate that. That's very meaningful. And there was something about the tune that to me and the music and playing saxophone with her and stuff that was just really uh like I could really feel it, the emotion of the song and the way that she was doing the song. And so I was trying to like show yearning and desire and all of that kind of stuff, and it just worked really well. It's really nice when the magic actually happens.
Now, now you shared a video. Are you going to be posting these videos anywhere?
I am. That was not the final video.
Okay.
And I was actually, when you said video, I thought to myself, wow, I need to contact the guy who's doing that. The guy that's doing that is in a little town somewhere like an hour from here. And I had a wonderful meeting with him when I was here in the summer. And we went over and got that rough draft done. And he's just doing a few final things. I think he does a really wonderful job, and the fellow that did the videography, I think, did a really wonderful job too. So I'm just really excited to get the final product. And by the time your listeners hear this, there should be one up on YouTube, so that if they search Benjamin Boone and maybe Ireland sessions, that
Hmm.
that should come up.
And just so our listeners know, it's all shot in the studio and
Hmm.
mostly in synchronous with their playing, but there's some other clips that are a little bit out of sync. But just what? Yeah, I really can't get over Jane Fraser. Like that, her
I'm so
voice,
glad.
her
I'm so
voice
glad to
is
hear
just
that.
amazing. That song
Well,
is
then I'll let
amazing.
you know. I had a rehearsal with her, and we're planning on doing one, if not two, record one, if not two, maybe three things next week again. So we're actually collaborating, and she's once again we're doing a traditional Irish tune that I hope that she's able to do, and then it's a really complicated, so I hope it comes together. And then we're doing another one that's the tentative title is called Lies.
Yeah,
So
fiery red hair with a voice to match.
I do love it. And she does two other tracks that I hope your listener checks out. So the one
Hmm.
that they just heard is called In the Twilight, and the other is called She Moved Through the Fair, which is a traditional Irish song that goes way, 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 way back, hundreds of years, if not longer. And the other that she does that is a new tune is called Your Eyes Meeting Mine. And as an artist, she's known as Jane, Jayne, and but her name is Jane, Jayne Fraser.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about your time as a Fulbright scholar in Limerick. I know
Super.
you're a lifelong learner and instructor. So what was your takeaway from this experience? What did you learn and why is it valuable to you?
Sure. And so one of the reasons I wanted to do a Fulbright at the Irish World Academy of Music is that it has a music curriculum that is like no other curriculum in the world. And I was told that. I investigated it. I spoke with some people who had worked here, and I mean, like at University of Washington, who came over here and have worked with the department, and it's just an amazing curriculum. And I wanted to go and experience that curriculum because we have an initiative in the Department of Music, which, by the way, is one of the finest departments of music in the state of California, and very forward thinking in many, many ways. And I hope your listeners get to know more about our wonderful department and the wonderful faculty that are in the department. But one of our initiatives is to try and branch out from what we already do and to explore other ways of doing things in innovative ways that embrace diversity, that embrace musical styles that come from our students and that our students exemplify. And that's what they do in the Irish World Academy. It's a very broad based program that focuses on multiple global musical styles and the music that the students bring with them. So it's really big on Irish traditional music. It's really big on music from immigrant populations. So because Ireland is probably still, at least a year ago when I left Ireland, uh, to come back and teach at Fresno. Again, Fresno State, they were the biggest per capita, one of the biggest per capita of granting refugee status
Mm-hmm.
to Ukrainian refugees. There are a lot of Nigerian refugees, tons of people from Poland and from North Africa. And so the way the academy approaches that is, well, wow, if there are problems in some of these places where there need to be refugees, we need to learn more about that music. And so embedded into the curriculum is music of North Africa, music of Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's just kind of a glorious way for music to try and help people understand the world, to show that we have more commonalities than differences, regardless of where we're from. And their program is really, really diverse in that way. And so I'm really excited about how that can be applied, at least to some degree. We are a different program, but in some degree in our music department. And the current chair, Carrie Earnhardt, who's director of choral activities, has also lived in a number of different cultures and experienced tons of different cultures. And whether it be Turkey or I think it's United Arab Emirates, and she has a similar focus, and other people in our department do as well. And so we're trying to make that happen. So it's just really exciting, not only for me on a personal level to blow my mind and learn new things, but then to see how I can bring that back to Fresno State so that Fresno State can benefit from that perspective.
Well, fantastic. And that was actually going to be my next question. How do you bring that back to the students? And you have anything more to add on that?
Yeah, well, that's one way. And,
Mm-hmm.
I had never experienced some of the musical styles that ironically I I experienced in Ireland, right, rather than in countries, because it seems like Ireland is a place that has tons of musicians from all over the world that are somehow passing through or somehow associated with the Irish World Academy of Music. And so I learned a tremendous amount about, like, I had lived in Ghana and knew like a lot about and learned a ton about West African music when I was in Ghana. And that just impacted me on a profound level, particularly how Ghanaian traditional music really reflects a very unique philosophy of life in Ghana, that there can be multiple streams of rhythms that are simultaneously existing, and they learn how to exist peacefully together, even if they're not the same stream. And Richard Giddens, who's director of our jazz studies, knows West African music pretty darn well, and adopts that, a lot of that element of the teaching in his teaching and the philosophy of what he does. Not to speak for him, but I mean, there's some of that in what he does. And in Ireland, their curriculum really is like, let's just, I'll say it again, let's embrace diversity and let's learn from each other, and let's learn not just to coexist, but to help make all of these different experiences that we have make everybody stronger. And it's the same in making music. And so I'm hoping that even though this jazz album is jazz music, but it also is trying to embrace a little bit some other perspectives. And then the other two albums I created while I was in Ireland have more of that diversity maybe than this one does. But I think that hearing that jazz music actually is a big thing in Ireland, and that jazz music, as we learn, maybe some of your listeners know, is an amalgam of enslaved peoples in the United States. That's where it came from. But the formerly enslaved folks in the United States interacted with Western culture and Western music styles. And as it turns out, one of those styles that a lot of the formerly enslaved folks interacted with, because they were impoverished during emancipation, most of them, right? And they were living side by side with other impoverished folks. And tons of the workers that were brought over to work on the railroad, to work in the South, et cetera, were Irish people. And those Irish immigrants were seen as less than the power white population too. And so you actually get this intermingling that's really interesting in the Appalachian Mountains and other places of Irish traditional musicians with emancipated slaves. And there's a blending in this synergy that happens musically that actually impacted both Irish music and impacted jazz. So it's this really unique combination. And there is one of the guest artists, she's still a guest artist here at the University of Limerick, is Rhiannon Giddens, who many of your listeners might know. She won a Pulitzer Prize. She founded the Carolina Chocolate Drops, and she's known big in the roots music community, and is getting better known in the standard jazz community because of some of her collaborations. But they can look up Rhiannon Giddens talking about this, like the synergy between Ireland and formerly enslaved peoples in the United States and the impact that had. The banjo, by the way, this is her big thing too, is an African instrument. It's not an Irish, it comes from, its origins are in Africa.
Interesting. So we are really close to being out of time here. So
oh my gosh, I could talk to you all day.
I know.
I'm probably boring your listeners like crazy. I'm sorry. I'll give very short answers to anything else you want to ask me about, Benjamin.
I feel like I had other things, but that's all right. And but I do want to ask: is there just anything else you would like to add about this album or your time in Ireland? Anything we missed?
Well, I think I hope that people check it out. It's called Benjamin Boone. The title is Confluence, which, the definition of confluence is an intermingling of things and the coming together of different waterways. And I'm living on a waterway right now, an estuary of the North Atlantic. And there is a confluence here, but the idea is that it's a confluence of musical styles. And the subtitle is the Ireland Sessions. And I'm just very grateful that I was able to get a Fulbright to come here and study and work with these people. I'm very grateful I'm able to be back in Ireland, where I'm serving as both external examiner for the University of Limerick's PhD and MA programs in music composition, but also to release and launch this CD here in Ireland. And I just was Zooming with my composers, talking to them about what it's like here and music here, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that I'm able to bring some of what I have found here in Ireland and in Ghana back to Fresno State so that it can impact our students and help expand their world in the music that they're exposed to.
All right.
So go music program, go College of Arts and Humanities for this vision of trying to impact our students in a really positive way and grow our students so that they can go out and do really, really interesting things with their lives, with their creativity and their writing and their research in the future. It's such a pleasure to work in a college and in a department that really values expansion like that.
All right. And a reminder, the artist is Benjamin Boone. His latest album is Confluence, the Ireland Sessions. It's available from Origin Records, Amazon, or wherever you buy or stream your music. Artful Discourse is a production of the College of Arts and Humanities at California State University, Fresno. The Dean is Dr. Honora Chapman, and the Associate Dean is Dr. Sergio Laporta. This program is written, directed, and produced by me, Benjamin Kirk, the college's communication specialist. The theme song for Artful Discourse is Maiden Voyage by Fresno State music professor Benjamin Boone from his album, Joy. More information about his music can be found at benjaminboone.com. Special thanks to KFSR and FSR Underground General Manager Julie Lindahl for making this show possible. You can learn more about the College of Arts and Humanities and find an archive of our shows at our website, cah.fresnostate.edu, or on our blog, fresnostatecah.com.